It's not often in sports. Everything gets kind of overblown now that you can actually say that you witnessed history.
Yeah.
That was history.
On multiple fronts.
I expected a little more history out of it, actually. When they went for it on 4th and 7, I was like, all right, now Belichick's gunning for the single game scoring record.
Yeah.
I can't imagine that I was alone. There was a play. It was 59-0. Tennessee had the ball inside their own 5.
Mm-hmm.
There was a sack that pretty clearly was in the end zone.
That was a safety.
Yeah.
That was a safety.
That was mercy by the referees.
And I could not have been the only person going. Now if Belichick really wants to stick it to Jeff Fisher, because that's the inference there, because Fisher was a very vocal Spygate detractor.
Yes.
I'm like, please just throw the flag.
I wanted him to throw the flag. I get notoriously bloodthirsty when scores get escalated like that. Back in the Dream Team days, I was always very disappointed that I didn't see them beat someone by 100. When they beat someone by 39 or 40, it wasn't enough for me. So when the Patriots get to scores like that, like they got against Buffalo in 2006 or 2007, I really wanted them to hit 60.
That's what happens, though. It's natural to just look at where you're at and say, okay, now where can it go from there? And I mean, I'm not kidding you. We were sitting there with with all the stats open on our computers and saying, okay, all right, now 5 touchdowns. Okay, if he gets 6, but if he gets 7 in the game, then that ties the NFL record, and he can get 8 if he can get 7. And it sounds stupid to sit there and say. I'm sure the Titans media people who were sitting behind me are like, what a bunch of obnoxious jerks. But that's what we were all talking about, because it seemed like there was no limit.
Yeah. It was total a rare show of mercy by Belichick when Hoyer came into the game midway through the third quarter. And it wasn't mercy necessarily, because it was Wiley, Brady in the snow when you're up by almost 60.
Especially when you're going to start, making Tennessee angry. And,
right.
Yeah.
And then it's hard to fight those accusations of running up the score.
But and you say that it could have been, a message to Fisher, who, by the way, I was surprised to realize, like, my height.
Really?
I mean, I know he was a DB back when he played, but like I'm more like 5'6".
Yeah, you're like 4'9".
Yeah, and but anyway, I think it was also kind of a message to the Titans, who, in my opinion, clearly gave up very early in that game.
Absolutely, that was one of those things that I don't think got enough play.
And it's
Cardinal-esque from last year.
Rollover stuff.
When the Cardinals decided, you know what, this is not happening.
But at least the Cardinals had a reason to give up, because they were in the playoff. I mean, they were a playoff team, so they had plenty of reasons to give up. But the Titans have everything to play for, and the fact that they quit, it's almost like the Patriots were saying, no, you don't quit in our place in this league.
Yeah.
And that might have been part of the reason, too, why they ran up the score, I guess.
The last team, because the Pats didn't get to 60, the last team to get to 60 in an NFL game. Either of you have a guess? Or
was it the Washington Redskins in 46?
No, it was
earlier than that.
The 1999 playoffs, 62-7. Jacksonville beat Miami in Dan Marino's last game. No, I did not see the CBS post game, but did that get any mention at all? Do we know?
I don't know.
I didn't see that. No. I guess what I heard was the Sammy Baugh led Redskins got to 7.
73-0 is the record.
Oh, okay. That's what they were.
There was I think the last regular season team to score 60 was the '89 Bengals.
Okay.
And that was against the Houston Oilers.
I seem to remember reading that in your Tim Weisberg's Patriots notebook in the Standard Times of New Bedford, Mass.
That was
today. That
was a lengthy notebook, but and I'm sure that if they wanted to mention the Marino thing, I'm sure Boomer was more than happy to mention, the '89 Bengals too. So
the Boomer versus Marino rivalry on that show just never gets old to me. And it's the only part of that show I even like, because I'm not a particular fan of Sharp or anyone like that. But
right. Fun as that was, though.
Yes.
What can we really take from that game? Because as we saw, Tennessee, not a good football team this year for whatever reason. The stat that kind of stood out to me a little bit, and obviously they were shut out. The Patriots got 5 turnovers. They gave up almost 200 yards on the ground. I mean, should that concern anybody? I mean, how can we look at what happened on Sunday, with a level head here?
You look at it the same way a high school soccer coach looks at a scrimmage against, a middle school team.
All right.
You're basically bringing somebody in to be the victim, to see if you can do what it is that you want to do when they're thinking what you wouldn't normally be thinking. Mm-hmm. Okay, you're bringing in a victim almost to play into whether or not you can execute. That's what they can take out of this, was the execution. After they had those plays, they had the big plays, and they had everything that they wanted to do in earlier games, but they didn't execute. And now they've all been saying that they've turned the corner on that execution, and that means more than anything going forward, because this week's going to be kind of a weird week with the travel to London and the fact that it is a much lesser opponent. I actually think lesser of Tampa Bay than I did of the Titans.
Really?
I do, and I think that this is a good stretch for them. They're going to be going into the bye after this, and now they can come back, play meaningful games, and feel like they've actually accomplished something. Whereas before, I don't think they were grateful for the wins. Not grateful. I don't think they were. They felt strongly about the wins that they had. I think they realized they were kind of fluky, and that they hadn't really won so much as the other team had kind of given them a chance to win.
Yeah.